Good morning, everyone. This is Ruben, and today we're going to be showing the work that we have been doing throughout the semester in curriculum design. You will have the chance to see what we have designed, all the contents, objectives, competences, and all what it is required in order to build curriculum. Uh, I'm going to explain you a little bit about the background. And as you know, since our country is going through an increase of foreign tourists, they want to go to museums, to archaeological sites, beaches, or some other touristic places in the country. But most of the taxi drivers that we have in our country, they don't have the competences or abilities in order to be able to communicate with them effectively, in order to take their orders or to understand the places where these visitors want to go to. That makes an impact in them, in the taxi drivers themselves, and in our country as well, because since they don't have the required competences to live with it, they lose the chances to get better incomes. And of course, tourists will rather go to some other country where that has more people that speak English, you know, and that's why we have actually decided to focus on a program that will help taxi drivers to provide the abilities and the competences that they will need to improve their lives in our country as well. Um, the needs analysis, we have to make some surveys that we pass over to some students from different institutions. We also did it to taxi drivers, people on the street, foreign tourists, and we also made an extensive research on forums in the internet, and we also interviewed some other professionals in teaching English to taxi drivers and other sectors. So what we found out was that in order for the students to learn to communicate effectively, they have to work on activities that will keep them that will keep their interest in the language, activities in which they will actually have to put into practice what they learned during the class. They will have to use the functions of the language that will be useful for them to develop what they need. Now I will give the opportunity to my other classmates to explain you a little bit more about the project that we have developed. Thank you.
This is Evelyn Adriana Alvarez Palacios, and I'm going to explain the objectives. According to the objectives, we want to reflect a good learning for our students, giving them the necessary information to achieve our established objectives, such as vocabulary, grammar for taxi drivers, so that they can use and they can achieve a good communication with tourists. According to the competence, we expect at the end of the course students to provide the right information. Also, they will be able to give information about tourist places. Also, they will have a good communication with tourists.
My name is Veronica. I talk about the values. The values are excellence, learning, mutual respect, tolerance, achievement, and responsibility. About respect, everything starts with respect. We value and respect each other and everyone we come into contact with. About the excellence, attention to detail is what differentiates mediocre from magnificent. The taxi driver offers a very high standard of education in one of the most convenient locations. About the learning, no one empowers. We are committed to lifelong learning. We provide opportunity for growth in a professional, motivational, and caring environment. About achievement, hard work and courage lead to success. We understand the factor with the impact achievement, but the most important is responsibility because give moral values over the others.
Hello, my name is Brenda Liliana Garcia, and this is our final project of curriculum design. I will talking about the justification of this project. With this project, we intend to benefit all taxi drivers who are currently being affected by their lack of skills to communicate in English with foreign tourists. This project will provide them with all the necessary skills of the language that will help them to provide a better service to their foreign customers and therefore will increase their income. Tourist places in our country will also be benefited since they will experience an increase of foreign tourists due to the efficiency that these taxi drivers will perform with the skills they will acquire during the course. The project is doing with the purpose that the taxi drivers improve the English, get new information, get new words, get new vocabulary, verbs, preposition, contraction, adjectives to benefit the business that they have.
Hello everyone, my name is Rene Escamilla and I'm going to explain or talk about the type of designs that we have on this project. The type of design we are going to call a spiral. We consider that this is going through the whole information that our students are going to view, and at the same time they're going to reinforce what they need, in order to be able to communicate effectively with the other students. So at this point, the students will be able to double check the most common useful verbs and grammar structures through this course. So at the same time, we need to understand that this project, this taxi driver project, we are going to review some objectives, right? So some general objectives that might help us to understand, in a better way, all the things that we are going to learn with our students. So as a general objective, remember that we have basically to communicate effectively with foreign tourists, and specific to provide the learners and the vocabulary languages functions need to give information and to recommendations about places, hotels, restaurants, and other attractions that they might help or could be a good option for them in order to learn more information about this great project. All right, so we need to provide to the learners with the necessary skills in order to be able to understand the English structures and basically the things that they have to use at the end of this process. So remember that besides this, we need to mention the competencies, right? So on the competences, but basically students at the end of this course, they will be able to give information to paraphrase the the to the customer, how to request, everything about taxi drivers, and also they will be able to answer questions about whether the environment or others aspect about the different tourist destinations in the country. In order to give information, need to recommend they need to provide some recommendation at the same time about the places in the country, because as a company, remember that we need to comprehend that tourists are going to ask us information about our skills. We need to manage all this information in order to have a better you know better development as a company. Thank you. Lastly, once again, guys, my name is Rene Escamilla. I'm telling you some information about the competencies and objectives that we have in our project. So what I can tell you is that we just divide our objectives, right? We have different levels. We have level A1, level B1, we have a level 2A, we have a level 2B, and also we have level C1, level 2C, so and so on. We have all these levels of basically teaching and learning that you guys might have in our process of teaching. Okay, so basically I'm going to reduce, or basically tell you the most important part of these competencies and objectives, right? So in level A, I will mention something, basically some objectives that our students are going to get in our process of teaching. So after listening, most likely videos, the students will be able to respond, greeting, introduction, and greet, introduce oneself, the others. All right. So most likely they're gonna be able to introduce themselves with people around. And level B1, so the objectives would be basically the students will be able to explain, to express, to apply position information, and they will be able to talk about the country, about the areas that we have, in order to get directions, right, by the tourists, that are going to visit our country. So in our level 2A, we can mention something like that, well, the students would be able to develop, would be able to list, to identify, most likely indication, instructions by the tourists at the moment that they are going to work as a taxi drivers, right? So in our level 2B, the students would be able to express, as we mentioned before, to list, to describe, to compare, identify, most likely all the parameters that our tourists are going to ask them, in order to have a better development as a company. In a level C1, the students will be able to understand, to relate, to contrast, to recognize, draw any information about it, right? So most likely we can just relate all the objectives, that we have. Most likely all the objectives are related. So, and the competences pretty much would be most likely to express the meanings of any information that they don't know about it. All right, they must know the information in order to have a better understanding. All right, so the pronunciation, the information that they need by numbers, and also they will be able to identify any information about it as well. Okay, so that will be basically my part, and I hope you understood all my information, and thank you very much, and have a great day.
I'm Veronica. Follow the topic and talk about content. For example, Unit 1, nice to meet you. Unit 2 will be spell your name. Unit 3, in my neighborhood. The other example that you need is everybody call me. The other, cultural connection. The other unit is daily taxi activities. And can you repeat that, please? Each unit mentions your respect procedure, your objective, grammar, activities, vocabulary, competence, teacher roles, and material and resource. This is one example of the unit. The context is STEMS. Thank you. In other words, respect all the people of their race, religion, culture, gender, or economical level. Doing your part when working together.
Hello, my name is Brenda Garcia, and I will explain you about the language level. We have different levels, for example, understanding, in which we can include listening and reading. The first one, we can understand familiar words and very basic phrases concerning myself, for example, my family, and we can concentrate when people speak slowly. Also, we can understand phrases at the highest frequency vocabulary related to areas of most immediate personal relevance. Also, we can understand the main points of clear standards speech on familiar matters. Also, we can understand standing speech and lectures and follow even complex line of argument provided the topic is reasonably familiar. We can understand speech even when it is not clear structure and have no difficulty in understanding any kind of spoken language. Also, in the reading area, we can understand familiar names, words, and very simple sentences. Also, it's important to know that in the reading area, we can get no information, no vocabulary, any words when we usually read books, document articles. Also, we can have the speaking language level. In this, we can include spoken interaction and spoken production. In the spoken interaction is when the students try to get the new word, try to interact with the language, and try to practice different lessons. In the production, in the spoken production is when the participants or the students practice the language and have a new conversation. Is when the students be able to make a conversation with other, and at the final we have the writing language level, in which we can include or we can write a short simple postcard, for example sending holidays greeting, and we can write short simple note and messages. In the writing area, it's important that the students have or the students know the grammar rules because we have to practice it. This on the reading area. In the language level, we have to develop different skills in the students. For example, reading, listening, speaking, writing, and the students will be able to develop each skill and practice in the class or with others. It's important to know that in the language level we organize the topic, the content, and make lessons depending of the content and depending of the skills that we have to develop with the students. In the methodology that we are using, the practice of the participants to analyze and defend the basic of the issues that they are to be used for teaching and learning in the course, depending of the needs of the course and depending of the lacks that the taxi drivers have. The structural approach that we are using is the method since language as a complex of grammatical rules, which are to be used to be learned one at a time in a set order. So, for example, in the verb to be is introduced and practiced before the present continuous tense, which uses to be as an auxiliary. In the project, we also use audiolingual methods. The theory behind this method is that learning a language means acquiring habits. There is there is much practice of dialogues of every situation. New language is the first heard and extensively dialogue before being seen in its written form. Also, the grammar translation. Learning is largely by translation to and from the target language. Grammar rules are to be memorized and long lists of vocabulary learned by heart. There is little or no emphasis placed on developing oral abilities. We are based on the language level for select or for choose the different styles of different learning process that we can be used for the taxi drivers.
This is Evelyn Adriana Alvarez Palacios speaking, and in this moment I'm going to explain about the teacher's role. The teacher's role is the most important thing because, as we know, the teacher has to explain the contents. The teacher has to guide the students in the learning process, and also the teacher also clarify the students' doubts. And if it's necessary, the teacher has to make reinforcement to the students. Also, I'm going to explain about the materials and resources. With equipment, as we know, are necessary to help with the learning process. The resources that we are going to use in our course will be a multimedia projector, a laptop, worksheets, CD players, notebooks, and so on.
Hello everyone, this is Ruben Rodriguez again, and this time I'll be telling you a little bit about the location, time, and assessments where our course will be delivered. So the location will be at the Hotel Real Intercontinental's conference room. The time will be 4 hours on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And the assessments, those will be mainly composed by written exams, classroom activities, and oral presentations. These classroom activities, they will actually need to put into practice what they've been learning through the class. This will be mainly they will basically do these activities in almost every class they will have. All presentations, those have been prepared for them to do it at least once per level.
Then
Then
to talk a
to
little bit
talk a little bit
about us,
about
our
us, our
background,
background, our
our
experience, our
profile as
profile as
designers,
designers,
we can say
we
that
can say that we all
we
that
are
we all are
able to
able
decide
to
on the
decide on the
criteria used to
criteria used
judge
to
learners'
judge learners'
performance and develop
performance and
assessment
develop assessment
instruments.
instruments.
We can
We
also
can also
develop
develop
objectives
objectives
and
and
ensure
ensure
that the
that the
contents
contents
matches the
matches the
objectives,
objectives,
and so
and
that they
so that
can
they
adapt
can
to the
adapt to the
instructional
instructional
materials
materials
available.
available.
We also
We
know
also
how to
know how to
focus on
focus on
the
the
expected
expected
outcomes
outcomes
based on
based
the
on the
audience's
audience's
prior
prior
skills,
skills,
experience,
experience,
expectations, and
expectations,
needs,
and needs,
so that we can
so that we
design a
can design
course
a
based on
course
the
based on the
available
available
technology,
technology,
budget, and
budget,
time.
and time.
And
And
finally, this is
finally, this is
how
how
the
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 part
part
of the
of the
project. I
project. I
mean,
mean,
this is
this is
how it
how it
looks,
looks, and
how we
how we
have
have
actually
actually
mixed
mixed
all
all
the
the
contents, units,
contents,
grammar,
units, grammar,
vocabulary,
vocabulary,
objective,
objective,
competencies, values,
competencies,
issues,
values,
or
issues,
materials
or
and
materials and
resources,
resources,
as well as
as
the
well as the
assessments.
assessments.
This is
This
how it
is how it
looks.
looks.
This is
This is
just
just
a little
a
bit
little bit
about
about
the level
the level
C1,
C1,
you can see
you
the
can see the
contents
contents
and all that it
and all that it
includes.
includes.
And well,
And
this
well,
is
this is
basically it
basically it
for
for
today. This
today.
is all
This
that
is
we
all that
have
we have
prepared
prepared
for this
for
project.
this project.
And
And
yeah, I can only
yeah, I
say
can
that
only
it's
say that it's
been really
been
nice
really nice
to be with
to
you
be
all,
with
to
you all,
share
to share
our
our
experiences, and
experiences, and thanks to
Ms.
Ms.
Mirna
Mirna
Beltran
Beltran
that you
that
guided
you
us
guided us
through
through
this good
this good
experience and
experience and
process so that we
process so that
could
we could
finally
finally
be able
be able
to
to
actually develop
actually
a
develop a
curriculum.
curriculum.
It's been
It's
nice
been
being with
nice
all of
being
you.
with all of you.
Thank you
Thank
and
you
goodbye.
and goodbye.